All right. Rod Kennedy, the founder of the Kerrville Folk Festival, producer of it for 32 years, and now in about my 67th year of being in the entertainment business.
One of our excellent producers of all time. We are now just backstage at the Kerrville Folk Festival 2008. We had a day 3 lovely lineup, and again, there's been some things that have changed over the past years, and but everyone could say that this place would not be the same without you, and everyone owes you the greatest debt of appreciation that anybody can attend to.
Well, the thing that's most rewarding to me is that while there are some physical changes in the property and there are committees, and I was a dictator. I hope I was what would you say, a generous dictator. I ran it by myself and by choice, because I was trying to create something for songwriters, and it had not been done before. Back when we started this festival in 1972, at the behest of the governor's office, they called us and said there's going to be an arts and crafts fair in Kerrville, and we need to keep them overnight. What can you do? And I said, well, let me look at it. And I created the first festival with 13 artists, the late Kenneth Threadgill, the late whole bunch of people that are gone now, but Michael Martin Murphy and Carolyn Hester and some others. And Peter Yarrow showed up, and that's the Peter of Peter, Paul, and Mary, and he breathed the spiritual part in here. I was a Republican television station radio broadcaster owner with Horner and Glasses, and very straight and very self-sufficient. I came out here and I met people that I would never have associated with before. Kids that kind of looked like they crawled out from under a rock that nobody would talk to. There were a lost generation of people that turned out to be the biggest thinkers, the most graceful, wonderful people, and they and hundreds of others became volunteers, and this place was created. And at that time, and well, still now, it's 50 acres of very sacred ground. Dallas Allen, who is the current producer, was my associate for 22 of those years. And when it came time for me to retire, she was the obvious choice to put in my slot. And I think she's done a marvelous job. She's kept all the things that I count precious together, and been able to bend with the pressures of 3 different boards of directors simultaneously. And I don't know if you know, but the festival is becoming a nonprofit. The nonprofit Kerrville Folk Music Foundation is taking over, and even though that's a misnomer, we're not a folk music festival, we're a songwriters festival, but they are taking over and providing a lot of energy and a lot of financial ideas, and leaving the heart of the festival alone so that it can operate on a non-political basis, as far as picking who's going to play and who isn't. Our dream has been excellence in building bridges for young artists who have no other connections to the music business. And it's become so popular that the stars that have grown out of here come back and play for the same scale as the kids. And it's a very rewarding experience all the way around. Artistically, as far as humanity is concerned, and as far as the tourism that's brought to this town, $2 million worth of tourism, and they come and they go and they leave, and we don't have to build any more sewers or telephone lines or schools or anything to accommodate it. So it's nice to be out here in the great outdoors, which gets very expensive on occasion with rain, but I'm very pleased that it's continued to thrive.
Kerrville definitely is a place that has evolved over the many years. This is being the 37th festival. Did you even in your wildest dream in 72 imagine that something could be running as powerful as this?
Well, I had hoped so. but I don't think you. I think it would be difficult for any one person to imagine that the spiritual optimism that grew in this place could be so powerful. The idea of equality, that the musicians are not booked because they're stars. There's no names printed any bigger than anybody else's. They're all listed alphabetically or in order of appearance, and if they're going to be a star, they make themselves that in the 40 minutes that they have on the stage or around the campfire where they are. And I'm glad that that purity remains, because it's a very competitive world, and a lot of unkind things are happening in a lot of the arts, both financial and managerial and corporate ownership and that kind of thing. And we've been able to be part of the world and yet to isolate ourselves away from some of the unfortunate things that are happening in competitive music business today.
Do you feel that some of the changes that have recently happened, such as the nonprofit status and other things, are a benefit and a lifesaver, or a guarantee of a continuation, or?
Well, I don't think anything's a guarantee. I think that the guarantee that we would have is the spirit of the people that are here now. If that can continue, I think there's a very good chance that this will go on. A lot of them are younger and don't know that they can't do this. I knew that I couldn't do it, and I did it anyway, and had to file bankruptcy a couple of times because we lost almost $1 million in the rain. First 17 years it rained 7 times, and I think I owed $940,000, and the bank would not foreclose on me because we were bringing all this tourism in here, and so they kept helping me, and we developed a sponsorship program, and I was fortunate in that when I came in here, I knew every arts and music editor of every major publication in the state on a first name basis, because I owned a classical music station in Austin, and I was producing there. I produced 1,500 events before this event started, and about 60 were left over to produce during the first few years of this festival. So I knew what was possible, but I didn't think it was probable. But I did it anyway because my wife at the time, Nancy Lee, and I both thought it was a worthwhile thing to do. The thing that prompted it was that the kids that used to hang out at the festival, at the Checkered Flag Club in Austin in the 60s, were now married with children, didn't want to be someplace full of smoke, someplace with a lot of alcohol and whatnot, and this is the ideal thing for them. And at that point, when we saw how the first time that we did it at the governor's urging to help the Arts and Crafts Fair, the enthusiasm of the Dallas Morning News and of the Dallas Times Herald and some other papers that are no longer here that gave us full pages of coverage because of the spirit that just burst out of here under Peter's guidance. That this was something that we felt could save society. Everybody's saying one thing at a time. I said one song at a time. That was 38 years ago, and that actually it gives people hope. We all think we're unique in our pain, our difficulties, and it becomes universal when writers open their hearts and sing it musically. People say, "Well, that's what happened to me. He's doing all right. I can do all right." And then we had AAs on our volunteer thing. Usually 60 out of the 600 volunteers were people that had alcohol problems, that were disowned by their families, by their friends, because of all the things that happen when that evolves. And all we expected of them here as volunteers is to show up on time and clean clothes and do your job. They found themselves being embraced by this community that assembles here every year. And a lot of them are married now. And so there are a lot of side things that make me happy that really have nothing to do with money. Yes. Because if it's profitable, it's been a spiritual profit.
Absolutely. It's family, like Family by choice.